Hello everyone, this is Showtime 112. Despite flying over 13,000 sorties during Operation Desert Storm, the highest number for any combat aircraft, the F-16 didn't notch a single air-to-air kill. There were several reasons for this, including the fact that air-to-air engagements were primarily assigned to F-15s. And Viper pilots were at times strongly discouraged by their commanders from engaging enemy fighters. It wasn't until after the war, during ongoing military operations against Iraq, that the F-16 would finally score its first aerial victories in American service. The first came on 27 December 1992 when Captain Gary North shot down a MiG-25 over southern Iraq, a story we covered in the previous video on this channel, so be sure to check that out if you missed it. Meanwhile, the coalition was also active in northern Iraq. Operation Provide Comfort was designed to protect the Kurdish population from reprisals by the Iraqi regime. In April 1991, the USA, UK, and France established a no-fly zone for Iraqi military aircraft north of the 36th parallel. One of the units deployed to Incirlik Air Base in Turkey, tasked with enforcing the northern no-fly zone, was the 23rd Fighter Squadron from Spangdahl in Germany. Until recently, this squadron had been a mixed unit flying both F-16s and F-4G Wild Weasels. Later, it was converted into a pure F-16 unit with a primary mission of close air support. However, the suppression of enemy air defenses requirements during Iraqi operations once again brought the Phantoms and F-16s together as they teamed up as hunter-killer pairs. We even recently discussed the early Wild Weasel operations of these F-4G and F-16 teams during Desert Storm in another video. By December 1992, the situation was heating up. The Iraqi military had become much more aggressive. The tactics and pace of Iraqi aircraft operating south of the 36th parallel had changed. Iraqis also frequently locked onto coalition aircraft with SAM radars and opened fire with AAA. The coalition's response was equally aggressive. When a military radar was spotted operating within the no-fly zone, Wild Weasels were quick to attack it. Both the F-4 and F-16 carried HARM missiles for this purpose, and the F-16 sometimes also carried CBU cluster bombs to deliver a hard kill on threats that had already been attacked by a HARM missile. Craig "Trigger" Stevenson was a young first lieutenant, eager to qualify as a flight lead. One of the requirements was to successfully lead a dissimilar aircraft sortie, meaning he had to command flights that included aircraft like the F-4 or A-10. Although this qualification flight was not officially meant to be conducted in combat, Stevenson was in the midst of his upgrade program while deployed to Incirlik, so the rules were bent a little. His qualification sortie was scheduled for 17 January 1993, coinciding with the second anniversary of Operation Desert Storm. For this evaluation, Stevenson was teamed up with an experienced Phantom instructor crew, Lieutenant Colonel Steve Heil and Captain Rich Piercy. The mission objective was to provide SEAD support to a pair of British Jaguars on a reconnaissance mission as they searched for a new SA-6 site. Stevenson was to lead the flight in every aspect, except during the Jaguar's low-level recon run, when the Phantom crew had to execute unpredictable maneuvers to triangulate and range the Iraqi radar sites. After air refueling, Stevenson's flight proceeded to their designated area in northern Iraq, then returned to the tankers for a second refueling. As the British Jaguars prepared for their recce run, the F-15s responsible for fighter cover returned to base, leaving Stevenson's flight to assume combat air patrol duties as well. They were well armed for this role. The F-4 carried Sparrow missiles, while the F-16 was equipped with 2 AMRAAMs and 2 Sidewinders. Most of us can't fly real F-16s, let alone in combat over Iraq. But a high-fidelity simulated experience is the closest you can get to it, and it's easily available. There's a simulator featuring the F-16 and Iraq map, and there are highly realistic Thrustmaster controllers. Viper TQS is a throttle quadrant replica, closely resembling what can be found in F-16's cockpit. The grip is made of metal and feels very sturdy. Various switches and knobs enable you to quickly operate the radar and air brakes without taking your eyes off your opponent in a dogfight. There's a missile coming your way. Chaff and flare disperse button can be easily reached. The panel features high-quality switches and knobs to control things such as the autopilot or external lighting. Do you need to get rid of your external stores to become more maneuverable? The emergency jettison button is there for you, and all these things will be recognized by DCS World. There won't be a need to set up controls for your F-16 module. Of course, using it to fly other types might need some adjustment. As for the right side of your home cockpit, Thrustmaster offers a solution too. The exact replica of the F-16 stick feels exactly as realistic as the throttle grip. Needless to say, it has all those HOTAS functions you need in combat. You can fire your gun, shoot missiles or release bombs. You can manage your sensors, countermeasures or trim your aircraft. If you connect the F-16 stick to the Thrustmaster AVA base, you will be able to configure your playing experience with great precision. AVA stands for Advanced Versatile Aviation, and it comes with 3 sets of springs, 2 cams and 3 masks. Make your movement light and easy, or put more resistance with soft, medium or hard springs. Further adjust your desired feel with a key without the need to disassemble the base. Limit the stick movement with a smaller mask to better emulate the movement of Viper's real stick. All these elements can be configured quickly and easily with only 2 keys that come with the set. These items can be purchased on Thrustmaster's webshop. If you use my creator code Showtime112, the channel will get a small commission at no extra cost to you, and that will be used to create future content. With Lieutenant Colonel Heil taking point in the F-4G, Stevenson monitored his F-16's radar for any potential air threats. Initially, there were 2 MiGs roughly 40 miles to the south, but they didn't appear to pose an immediate danger. Suddenly, Stevenson picked up a contact taking off from a known active Iraqi Air Force base, codenamed Caddy. As the contact proceeded north, Stevenson recalled the briefing and resumed leading the flight, now facing an air-to-air threat. He then steered the flight northwards to allow the AWACS time to detect the Iraqi aircraft. The combined Viper Phantom flight quickly swung back south, and Stevenson locked onto the incoming fighter. With the Iraqi aircraft's continued ascent towards the no-fly zone, AWACS soon issued the commit call. Stevenson jettisoned his fuel tanks, hit the afterburners, and began a descent designed to force the MiG's radar into its less effective look-down mode. The MiG still kept climbing, reaching up to 17,000 feet. Meanwhile, Stevenson and Heil leveled off at about 4,000 feet, flying at roughly Mach 1.2. As the MiG, also supersonic, crossed the 36th parallel, AWACS cleared the kill. Stevenson's radar warning receiver remained quiet, indicating that the MiG's radar had not locked onto him. However, when he was 12 miles away, the MiG pilot suddenly pulled hard to the right, executing a 180-degree turn and dropping altitude. This maneuver broke Stevenson's radar lock, but he quickly reacquired the target visually at 6,000 feet. Now engaged in a tail chase at a distance of 5 miles, just outside the MRAM's maximum effective range in such scenarios, the F-16 had roughly a 50-knot speed advantage. Stevenson's only hope was that the MiG pilot would maneuver before leading his flight near Iraqi SAM sites. That's when the Iraqi pilot made a critical error. Believing he couldn't escape, he turned hard left, which brought him directly into missile range. Stevenson attempted to launch his missile immediately, but nothing happened. The MRAM on his left wingtip refused to launch. Quickly switching to the other missile, Stevenson fired. This time, the MRAM worked perfectly. As soon as Stevenson saw the missile enter active mode, he turned north to avoid nearby SAM sites. Glancing back over his shoulder, he confirmed the missile had hit its target. There was no parachute. With his fuel running low, Stevenson headed straight for the tanker. Refueling with an armed MRAM still attached was certainly an unsettling experience, but everything went smoothly. Lieutenant Colonel Heil, having not jettisoned his fuel tanks, remained in the area, and Stevenson soon headed back. Even as he returned, the smoke from the MiG impact was still visible on the ground. Initial reports even speculated that the downed aircraft might have been a MiG-29, but it was later confirmed to be a MiG-23. Amid the operation, calls over guard frequency from AWACS warned the flight to turn back because they were encroaching into Syrian airspace. This turned out to be the F-15 flight returning to Incirlik. Upon hearing about the engagement, they turned back towards Iraq, but decided to take the shortest route, which involved flying 100 miles through Syria. However, the mighty Eagles were too late to claim that victory. This engagement marked the F-16's second aerial victory in American service and its 65th worldwide. Needless to say, Craig Stevenson received the highest possible grade for his evaluation flight. Thank you for your time and keep watching Showtime 112.